In just 5 minutes ago, and we've noticed now an acceleration in the forward speed of Irene, now accelerating up the coastline northeast. Take a look at live pinpoint Doppler 12 radar, because quite often, well in advance of tropical systems, and we see this all the time, 38 hurricane, 54 hurricane, Bob, Gloria, well in advance of the storm, you get the moisture streaming up the coastline. So while the storm itself is about 360 miles southwest of Block Island, you can see on the Doppler radar what we call feeder bands, these bands of tropical moisture that come in off the ocean. At 1 minute it can be nice and quiet, and then the next minute you get these downpours, and this is what we're seeing coming in right now, and there'll be more to follow during the overnight hours right on through tomorrow. We can widen out the view. In the center of the storm now, here's the Chesapeake Bay, is right in here, so it's actually moved out over the open waters once again. But notice how one side of the storm has the heavy rain, and the other side is really dried out, and that's another typical sign as these systems move further north into the northern latitudes. A lot of the real heavy rain tends to be on the back side of it, and because the storm will be tracking off to our west, we think that's where the heaviest rain is going to fall. We'll show that to you in just a second. Hurricane warning areas in dark red: Providence Point south and east. Tropical storm warning for the area in orange. Again, and we've been saying this for the last day now, we feel as though tropical storm forced wind gusts and hurricane force wind gusts will be in gusts and not so much sustained. In other words, even though there's a hurricane warning, we're not anticipating winds to be consistently blowing at 80 miles per hour, but a gust to 70 or 80 is likely, especially along the south shore, and that may take down some trees and some power lines, so power outage is possible. Live pictures of the Fox Point hurricane barrier, 75 degrees outside right now. The dew point very tropical and ultra high, and that high humidity is going to fuel some of these heavier downpours and even some thunderstorms. Category 1 hurricane, top winds at 80 miles per hour. Now, just 2 days ago, this was a storm that had winds of 125. So if there's anything good about this is that it has not gotten stronger, but that's not to say that we're not getting hazardous weather tomorrow, because we will. Starting to accelerate now north and northeast, and the impacts really start to kick in here tomorrow morning and then continuing right on through the afternoon hours. Here's a wider perspective, and you can see that spin now off the Chesapeake Bay and tracking northeast. It'll parallel the Mid-Atlantic coastline and then pass across Long Island, New York, and western Connecticut later tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. Here's the latest from the Hurricane Center. Well, first of all, we have computer models that can actually predict wave heights with ocean storms, nor'easters, and hurricanes. Here we are at around 10:30 this evening. Now, all of this white area represents waves, forecasted wave heights of 30 feet. And notice this huge amount of wave action just offshore. 15-foot waves about 100 miles off the coastline. So a lot of this wave energy, it gets brought to our coastline. And that's why we're going to see some tremendous surf at area beaches and the south shore tomorrow. Then as the storm pulls away up into Canada, the bigger waves start to pull away tomorrow evening, tomorrow night. Here's the latest from the Hurricane Center. Winds of 80, gusts to 100, and tracking north and northeast. Let's show you the brand new forecast that just came out from the National Hurricane Center. Category 1 storm off the New Jersey coastline. Landfall Sunday afternoon, and then weakening to a tropical storm up in northern New England by tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. That puts us on the right-hand side of the storm. That is the windiest part of the storm. So we get these strong onshore winds coinciding with the time of high tide tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. That's why we have the potential for some coastal flooding. Eventually the storm racing away. On the left-hand side of the storm track, right along the storm track itself and to the left, that's where the heaviest rain will fall. We're thinking 4 to 6 inches, though, of very heavy rain. And tropical storm force winds have winds anywhere between 39 and 73. This will be realized at least in gusts coming up tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. So overnight bands of heavy rain continue, and then the wind picking up. We're talking about 35 to 55 sustained wind, gusts to 60 to 80, 3 to 6 inches of rain, and the coastal surge of 4 to 7 feet. During our next weather segment, we're going to talk more about the coastal surge and the potential for how much rain may fall. All the information, another weather update coming up in about 5 minutes.
Thank you, Tony. North Carolina is starting to assess the damage as Hurricane Irene moves out and up the East Coast. Tonight, major cities, including New York, are taking unprecedented moves to prepare for Irene. Eyewitness News reporter Karen Brown joins us now with more pinpoint weather team coverage from Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina.
Hurricane Irene tore holes in buildings as it slammed into North Carolina with 100-mile-per-hour winds. Its huge gusts knocked down signs and power lines. During the height of the storm, some people headed outside to check on the damage to their homes.
As long as it doesn't do much more than what it's already done, then I think we'll be okay.
North Carolina's governor says the state's coast was hit hard.
The state and our people have sustained some really significant damage. I don't know what the cost will be, but I think the cost is going to be significant.
Here in the Outer Banks, they are expecting more damage through the night. The storm surge continues to be a major concern, and they expect flooding to be a lingering problem as Irene heads up the coast. In Virginia, fierce surf damaged this boat and forced emergency crews to rescue 2 people on board. It's believed the hurricane spawned several tornadoes, damaging homes in the mid-Atlantic. And Irene is already blamed for several deaths, including an 11-year-old boy who died when a tree crashed into his home in Virginia.
It goes out to the people and the family.
States evacuated more than 2 million people in Irene's path. New York City isn't taking any chances. The city suspended mass transit and shut down airports in advance of the storm. Officials say even though Irene is weaker, it's still very dangerous and will impact areas as far north as Canada.
President Obama is watching the storm very closely. He visited FEMA's command center Saturday, and the government has thousands of troops ready to help with relief efforts once the storm clears. As we told you at the top of the newscast, there are currently 12 cities and towns with mandatory evacuations tonight. New tonight, North Kingstown, Middletown, and Tiverton join Westerly, Charlestown, South Kingstown, Narragansett, Coventry, Bristol, Portsmouth, Newport, and Jamestown. Newport also on that list, and as we saw, many homes in the city by the sea are boarded up. Owners are not taking any chances with Irene. Eyewitness